Hey guys, and welcome back to another Marvel Contest of Champions video. Okay, bear with me guys, I'm still feeling pretty crap from having coronavirus, but we'll get in there best we can. Okay, today I want to talk about Masteries and my Mastery setup. I've only just recently changed it in the last couple of days, and it's been a long time since I have changed it. Why you might want to try to run the Suicide Masteries, maybe why he would try to just regular Masteries. Um, so, well, first we'll begin with what mine are currently. I have had the Suicide Masteries for probably just over a year. Last year, this time, I was saving up for Black Friday deals, and I just thought, you know what, this is like the only time I'm going to have enough units to change over, to get suicides. Um, so I just thought now is the best time, better than ever, to go ahead and just splash out the units needed to buy all the cores and all that sort of stuff. So I think it cost me about 6 or 7 thousand units. And to be honest, I didn't really miss out on the deals because I was still Cavalier at that point. We got the absolute shaft last Black Friday, so it was a good decision, I think, to go ahead and get those masteries unlocked. Um, but on here, you will see my bare bones offensive tree. Now, when I am running suicides, you'll notice here all these will be open. So you'll have 1 point. If you're not aware, guys, you'll have at least 1 point in glass cannon, which increases the attack of all champions by 2.4% of their base attack, but reduce their maximum health by 2.4% of base attack. I have had that before I even did suicides. Just gives you a little bit more attack with the expense of a little bit of health loss. Not a big deal. It's quite a bit of a help, I think. The next one, recoil. This is the one everyone hates. Anyone that runs the attrition masteries, I think people call them sometimes besides suicides. This is the one. This is the big bugbear. At least in my opinion, I hate this one. Your champions increase attack during special attacks by 30%, which is, believe me, that's a massive percentage. So every time you do a special, you get 30% more attack. But you sacrifice 5% health for each activation of a special 1 and 2. That is horrible. There's certain champs, if you guys are unaware, you're new, certain champs that, besides the bleed and the poison damage that we're going to get to in a minute, that make them bad. There's certain champs that this makes this unusable because the way you play certain champs is you need to fire off special ones constantly. And if you're running these masteries, you just can't use those champs. Or if you do, you can use them for like 1, maybe 2 fights in a quest, and that's it. Before your third health. The last two that you need to max out: Liquid Courage, increase the attack of all champions by 10%, and it increases on each rank. But they suffer a permanent poison debuff that drains 0.6% health per second. And the last one is Double Edge, increase the attack of all champions by 10%, but up to 10% health is lost by a bleed debuff for over 8 seconds. So at the start of each fight, you'll get a bleed and poison. The poison lasts the whole fight. The bleed only lasts a few seconds. So if you have got a champion, so the best people that you want for if you're going to run these masteries is, like I said, robots. Anyone that's bleed and poison immune, or anyone that's at least poison immune. Anyone that's poison immune, anyone that can chug off bleeds, chug off poisons, that sort of champ, really. And champions, like I said, from the recoil, from the previous one, from this one here, that, if you can get away with not using specials very often, if you can get away with just using special 3s, if that champion requires you don't use special 3s, then you're laughing. But recently, I've got a lot of champions that I haven't been able to get the best out of, that I want to give a try, in the last 6 months or a year, that I've just had to kind of push to the complete back burner because I've had suicides running. So let's have a quick look. My main questing team is Black Widow, Warlock, that's 2. Probably the next one that's definitely at number 3 would be Nick Fury. And then it would probably be, since I'm running suicides, you guys are probably thinking I'm crazy, but I still like to run Medusa. Maybe Apocalypse, Human Torch, something like that for the last slot. Medusa is fantastic with suicides. She's not the best since you do have to fire off a special 1, but she is poison immune, which helps with that. But those champs, for the most part, except for maybe Human Torch, don't work too bad with, like Black Widow Clairvoyant is amazing with suicides. She's better than Doctor Doom with suicides. Because Doctor Doom, you can't really run with suicides unless you're only doing a couple fights. But I haven't been able to really get into using Doctor Doom because I'm always running suicides. So I've taken them off. This is the first time I've taken them off, like I said, in like a year. So I'm going to start using Doctor Doom more. Who else have I pulled recently that I want to try to take up? Let's see. I want to start using Sorcerer Supreme more. I wanted to put some more points in. I've opened up Mystic Dispersion again. So I'm thinking about taking Diablo up. Now Diablo, he probably works best if you've got Mystic Dispersion and Suicide open. So that's another kettle of fish, really. But he works really good with Suicides. He works really good with Mystic Dispersion. If you get them both together, then that's like ideal. But at the minute, I'm not running Suicides, but I am running Mystic Dispersion, at least at 4. So I'm gonna rank him up and see how he gets on with that. The other person that I wanted to start using more was Professor X. I've only just recently pulled 6-star Professor X, so I want to give him a bit of a try out and see how he does. Because there's so many champs that I want to be able to have a bit of play around with that they're not ideal, at all with running suicides. I know I haven't used Void for God knows how long. Only because you need to keep firing off that special 1. So even Stealth Spider-Man, I don't really use them, but I'd like to start using them more. So there's a lot of champs that you really don't get the best out of if you're running suicides. But it's the same if you're not running suicides, then there's a lot of champs you don't get the best out of in that sense. Like Corvus really needs suicides. Omega Red needs suicides. To get the best out of those champs. Ghost, you need to be running suicides really to get the best out of those champs. So there's drawbacks and pluses for each one. But we'll just have a quick run through the rest of the masteries. So like I said, those would be the changes, on the offensive tree. Would be this portion up here at the top. Defense, that can pretty much stay the same all the time. I mean, I have in the past had some points in Coagulate, and that does stop a lot of the bleed that you get from the bleed suicides. From the Double Edge, I think it is Liquid Courage or Double Edge. I can't remember which one's which. So that does take a lot of that away, but that is 3 of your mastery points. So, and as well, if you can leave this one the same, that will save you those points, those units, if you want to swap them back and forth. And then when you go on to proficiencies, I've added a big chunk of mine back into this section, where I would usually only have about 8, I think it is, in this section, because I've maxed out Limber again. and I've got the 4 points in Mystic Dispersion. So that's the other 8, I believe it is, that I had before, that I had elsewhere in the tree. So, and again, this is if you think you're going to be running a lot of Mystic Champs. You know, this does help quite considerably if you're running Mystic Champs, you know, and you've got those Mystic Champs up against champs that, you know, have a lot of buffs. So you can, you know, start gaining that power. If you just have a quick look here, Mystic Champions gain 8% power each time a buff is nullified or its duration expires off their opponent. So if you're fighting someone that has a lot of buffs, then this is going to be, you know, a great time. So think about opening it up if you do use Mystics quite a bit. One of the drawbacks with not running Suicides is the attack of your champions. So I've just jotted down here the health and attack of Namor, since he's my top champ there. I had 38,677 health when I was running Suicide. So it lowered his health slightly. So I've got a tiny bit of health back, which is negligible. But the attack, folks, has taken an absolute beating. So his attack was 4,916. So that's over a third. He's got over a third less attack now than what he had before, like about 40% less attack. So that's a biggie, you know, and that's across the board. So 40% more attack for running Suicides, plus you get that 30% from recoil attack bonus. So those are the big bonuses from Suicides. But believe you me, when you're trying to do the monthly like Cav Quest and you need to bring in, you know, your top skill champions or your top mutant champions or whatever, then I'm having to bring in, I'm not sure about how you guys are, but I'm having to bring in a lot of champions that just don't work well at all with Suicides. And I'm struggling sometimes to make it through the paths because I'm having to fire off so many specials. So I think I'm going to give this a go for a while. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it works better. If it does, then that's fantastic. You know, if it doesn't, then I'll end up having to put them back on again. But I think it's going to cost about just over 100 units to swap them in and out. You know, if you want to swap them completely. So for Alliance War or whatever. I mean, I usually leave mine on even for Alliance War, which doesn't help, guys. But you know, a lot of the big alliances, they switch them off and on every Alliance War, or they'll just switch them off at the start of the war season and then back on at the end. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. It does one massive thing is it makes grinding arena so much faster. You get more points, and the fights are just so much quicker. So that's the one good thing about arena. It does save a lot of time there. If you are a big grinder, I would almost say it's a must. So, but if there's anything I've missed out, you know, let me know. Hopefully I've kind of got my point across, you know, whether you should or whether you shouldn't, you know, use Suicide Masteries. Hopefully some of the pros and cons I've got across to you guys, because they are really good and they have a lot of drawbacks. So it depends on what champs you want to use, that sort of thing. Or if you just want a bit of a change to kind of spice things up, I'd give it a try. Other than that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Hope you got something from it. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss out on anything else that's coming up, and I will see you again. Take care.